Hello, everyone. Are you so excited that we're back for another Dishing with Diamonds? Y'all, I anticipate these recordings every single time, and this episode is no exception. But before we get started, of course, I get to do a little disclaimer for you all. We are simply just sharing our stories with Plexus. We are not making any health claims, nor are we making any financial claims. We're simply sharing our journey to this amazing destination of diamond. And y'all, okay, so I have to share with you guys how much I love this person I'm about to introduce. This is Becky Paige, and she is a diamond ambassador with Plexus Worldwide. But more importantly, she's just somebody that I love to hang out with. Every single time I'm around her, I want more time. I've said I need to move to Dallas because I feel like she and I could absolutely be best friends. So I'm super excited to introduce this amazing personality, this person who's just so seated in genuineness and authenticity. And I know that at the end of our time together that you're going to see that in her. But additionally, you're going to take away some wisdom and value tips that you can apply immediately to your Plexus business. So Becky, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Rainey. I have to say to your team that I really looked forward to this call, partly because I feel the same way. You know, when you meet a kindred spirit in Plexus and you're just like, oh, I don't even know them that well, but I want to hang out with them. And I think we have said that to each other a lot over the year, you know, just being like, I want to hang out more with you. When can you?
Yes, I love that. So, okay, so we're going to make that part happen. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get into our questions, if that sounds good with you.
That's perfect.
Okay, yay. And I noticed we also have twin watches.
We do.
I love it. Okay, so will you describe your life before Plexus?
Absolutely. So before Plexus, I would have considered myself to be kind of a health nut and a fitness buff. But on top of that, I would have said that I was extremely happy with my career. I am a licensed professional counselor and supervisor in the state of Texas. And about 7 years ago, I had been practicing for 3 to 4 years or so and loved counseling and decided to start my own private practice with 3 other friends down in Dallas. And so we did, and we built it from a practice of 5 clinicians to 25. So I was really happy. I kind of felt like I had a dream job and I owned my own practice, which in the counseling world was a really big deal. And I felt like, yay, I finally have freedom to be a mom. And I would have boasted to a lot of people that, gosh, this is just, you know, this is right where I want to be. And I can't believe I was able to do this early on in my career. But what's really ironic is that, and if any of you are watching and you've owned a small business, then you know a small business sounds like freedom, but it's really not. So I was retaining my income, but then anything I made on top was just simply reinvested into that business. And as some of you might relate to, whenever there was a need, the buck stopped with me. I was an owner. And so there were tons of unpaid hours. I will tell you that I've been a working mom since, you know, I had kids. I was working before I had my first child. And so I didn't know any different, and my kids didn't know any different. In fact, we're approaching summertime, and I will tell you that I really hated summers. Summers were the time where I would pay our nanny or a sitter, and I would pay for camps, and my kids would do all kinds of activities. And my kids were just super sad during summers because their mom was leaving every morning to go to work. And even though I had the freedom to take off when I wanted to, it was basically money out of my pocket. So I loved what I did. I got a lot of joy from it, but I had a lot of stress. My husband and I had been praying. We're both working professionals, and we had been praying for a long time that God would provide an additional income stream. And I just always thought it would come from my husband. He's an attorney. And so before Plexus, you know, we were both CrossFitters. We are still CrossFitters. We liked working out, and we thought we ate pretty clean. And so we really didn't see a need for Plexus. I kind of had that motto of, if it's not broken, why fix it? Plus, I was extremely judgy and critical of anything health supplement or, God forbid, network marketing.
Sure. Oh, I connect with you on that for sure. So how did you get introduced to Plexus, number one, but then number two, how did those walls of skepticism get broken down?
That is a great question. So like some of you guys who might have been with Plexus for, the same amount of time as Rainey and I, 3 years ago in 2013 in the fall, I started to see mutual friends talk about Plexus on Facebook specifically. And one of them was a good friend of mine who we'd been in each other's weddings. We were, pre-marriage friends. We went through the whole finding our husbands, getting engaged, getting married season of life, and even early parenting. And that was Andrea Mitchell. So I had some insider knowledge because she had been with a direct sales company before, and I had to go to those parties and sit through them and worry that she was going to make me buy her things. And then I literally watched her go into major debt with another MLM, and her husband, she would tell you this, her husband sold her, she had a really awesome a new 4Runner, and he sold it to get her out of the debt that she'd incurred as a result of purchasing inventory for this other company. So, considered myself a good friend, and I called her and I was like, does your husband know you're doing this? And was super critical and judgy. I was like, are you selling weight loss on Facebook? Like, honey, friends don't let friends do that. I'm embarrassed for you. I wasn't that mean, but in my heart, I was super judgy of her. So, anyway, she was so sweet and gracious with me. And we kind of did that back and forth. I would say, well, I'm kind of curious. Tell me more. But then in the meantime, I would go, I don't want to know. What am I doing? I don't want to know about this. And she'd send me a little information and I'd ignore her. And she was a good friend of mine. So when we talk to you guys about the fruit is in the follow-up, I mean it. When your own friend has to pursue you back and forth following up. So it took probably 3 months of her following up with me before I finally caved and decided to try Plexus. And so that's where I heard about it. And I was really curious as a mental health professional. I had read a ton of research about the connection between the use of probiotics and treating mood disorders like anxiety and depression and those sorts of things. And there was so much research even 3 years ago about the connection between your gut and your brain. And so I really, really wanted to try the probiotic. But like I say, as every red-blooded American female, the thought of a little weight loss that wasn't going to hurt. I was super curious about that, but I honestly didn't think I would feel much. I had some secret excitement that I didn't want to tell anyone about, but really low expectations for Plexus.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you, but I love the fact that whether it was your friendship with Andrea, that you finally were like, okay, I trust her. And if at the end of the day, her husband's on board with this and I love her and I wouldn't mind a little bit of weight management on my side. Hey, I'm going to check it out. And so I love that, you're just completely honest and vulnerable about where you were with it and then how you got over that hump. So you obviously, did you sign on as a customer or as an ambassador with her?
No, Rainey, I wanted the deep discount. And my husband said, hey, listen, this is an addition to our budget. Like I said, we were already praying for some excess income to pay off old student loans and things like that. And he said, if you're gonna do this, then I'd really love if you could try to get your products covered. So that was our agreement. So I jumped in as an ambassador for the deepest discount. And pretty quickly, Andrea shared with me, well, and she mentioned one of my good friends who's a mutual friend of hers. We had literally been secretly mocking Plexus, kind of texting, oh my gosh, they think it cures everything, making fun. And she said, do you know that Lindsay is interested too? And so I immediately signed up Lindsay and then 2 more people. One of those people was my mother. The other person was my good friend, Rachel Neagle. And, we ended up having like a 2-hour conversation about why we could never sell this. I could never sell it because I was a therapist. She could never sell it because she was a pastor's wife. And, but we were already strategizing. So our brains were already kind of thinking through, okay, what if, sort of the what if this could change everything concept. But again, my expectations were so low. And I warned Andrea, I said, I'm not going to talk about this on social media. I've already got a brand that I've built. I need to protect my professional reputation. So I had like every excuse in the book when I signed up. But I went silver in my first week because I was thinking strategically.
Absolutely. And I've always said, I feel like there's validation in your first paycheck, whatever that paycheck is, right? And so people always ask me, so sorry, but people always ask me, how do you get someone motivated? And I say, I work with them to get them their first paycheck, and I show them how possible this really is. Yes. So, I love that that's exactly how your road to diamond started.
And as a skeptic, I try to encourage leaders. You cannot be afraid of other people's skepticism or criticism from the beginning, because you really might be dealing with your future diamond. You need to be able to embrace people's skepticism. And as my husband says, and you just said, show them the money, show them the products speak for themselves. But when you can show someone a paycheck, that's a whole new dynamic for a lot of people.
Game changer. And additionally, I say too, there's hope in the excuses. I like
that.
Right? I mean, the more excuses, almost the better.
Oh yeah. Wait, I want to hear about that. Say more about that, right?
You're turning the tables on me. You're not.
I know, but I'm so curious about that. What do you say to people?
Well, no, again, like what you just said, though, I'm just taking what you said, is that there's genuinely hope in their excuses. And I give stories and great examples of, let me tell you about my friend Becky and where she was with this. And so, that literally, like you just said, you're writing it down, you're so cute. But literally, like you just said, your thinking changed when you started thinking of people who could benefit from either the products and or the financial piece of it, but that you're that example of hope in the excuse. I'm a professional, I'm already healthy, all of these reasons. And so I say, take encouragement in that. And you just said it better than I did, that you may be dealing with your future rock star, your future diamond in this. So
I love that. Yes, I did write it down because I'm going to quote it.
I love it. Later. I always say we learn from each other. So you got beyond your skepticism. You got in your first paycheck. Walk us through your journey. So, go.
So like some people, but not like everyone, in that very first month, I will tell you that I was taking an extremely expensive probiotic that I bought from Whole Foods. It was, I'm not kidding you when I say it was like $80 a month, had to be refrigerated. So of course it had to be more powerful, right? It was better. I started taking Probio 5, immediately had detox. And for me, that was so encouraging, because I thought, something's working. I've always heard about probiotics, but I've never felt a difference, and something is immediately working. So I was listening to my body every day. And after the first month, my energy levels felt it again. Sometimes you just don't know how bad you're feeling until you start to feel better. And so that whole idea of, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I tell people, well, sometimes you don't know when you're broken, especially when it comes to good digestion. So sleep, I finally had that, I call it before baby sleep or college sleep, where you just sleep like a rock, I had missed that. I didn't realize that my sleep had been so disturbed. So I felt great. My husband immediately started taking the products. He noticed that I was less edgy. Beyond that, and this is where I think back to the spring of 2014, I got to tell you, it was a magical time. And I do want to say, if there's anybody listening to this call and they're thinking, I've never had that season, you make this season. And part of what it is my husband and I, we just, because he was such a part of it from the beginning, but we would sit down and go, okay, what if we talk to this person? What if we talk to this person? Oh my gosh, who could use this? Your aunt. Oh my word, who would love this? And so we were constantly making lists. It was so fun to share it. Of course, I was sharing it with Andrea, my upline, and Rachel Neagle, my downline. There was such fun there, but it was also in our home. Like, we started to realize that what we had been praying for and asking God for, he was answering us. And I'm going to tell you, it wasn't even I remember the first paychecks, Rainey, back when we used to get paid with paper checks. Yeah. They'd come like, I wonder what this is for. It's $50. That's cool. We didn't even understand the comp plan yet. But it was when we got that first like $250 check, $400 check, that we would just kind of grab each other and go, okay, wait, what is going on? Are you kidding me? Because I had a job that paid me by the hour. I only got paid when I was sitting in my office in my chair and someone's there on the couch. That's how I got paid. So to have these checks coming in, and I was going, I'm not even totally sure what I've done other than talk to my friends and family members. It was like I mean, I'm not a gambler. I'm too stingy to gamble. We go to Vegas for convention, and you won't ever see me down at the tables. It's not that I'm not fun. I just here to make my money.
That's me. I'm, there's a story behind that, but that's me. It's like, if you get me to drop a whatever denomination in the slot, it's real rare, number one. And if I win anything, I become like, the Scrooge of all Scrooge. I'm like, it's mine. Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
Well, Plexus felt like playing the lottery, gambling. I mean, it was like, I shouldn't say fun money, because for my family, it wasn't just fun money. Yeah. It was money. We started a separate account. We started squirreling it away. I remember praying and saying, Lord, if I could cover our mortgage with Plexus, and in my mind I'm thinking maybe in a year I'll be able to cover my mortgage with Plexus. We live in the heart of Dallas. I can almost see downtown from where we live, and our mortgage was a burden that I knew if we had this extra stream of income that could cover our mortgage, it would not only ease my husband's the weight on his shoulders, but the weight on mine. It would free up cash. You know how you think about your budget. And I mean, I'm trying to remember, I want to say like in my third month, Plexus was covering our mortgage, and we were just kind of like holding on to each other going, is this for real? Like, we're going to run with this. And he was telling me, he had it all. My husband, his name is Russ. He had it all planned. He was like, you're going to go Emerald this year. We're going to get you the car. And I need you to know too, that it might sound like we were just, we had these great careers. He's an attorney. He went to law school. I went to seminary. I'm a professional counselor. We didn't buy new cars. We don't live high on the hog. I mean, every cent we had was already accounted for. And so for us to dream about things like, this whole line of income, a new Lexus, that was just blowing our minds. And he was saying, this is going to happen for you. And he literally was showing me, with your growth that you're having, if you keep doing these same things and growing. And so I just believed him, and we were praying, and we just ran. We ran so hard. And so I went Emerald in 10 months. I joined in January of 2014, went Emerald in November. And so it was wonderful. Yeah. And kept running after that, and was a working mom. In 2014, I actually had a miscarriage, and it was such a heartache, but it I don't know, some of you guys might relate. It was like, oh my goodness, we need to have a third baby. My kids, I have two older kids. They were just a little bit older. And so then it was like, oh, now I had the heartache of miscarriage that was making me be like, I want another baby. And so during my Plexus journey, got pregnant again, had a baby, turned 40 when she was 1 month old. And I'm telling you, best pregnancy, best childbirth story. I was able to CrossFit the whole way through my pregnancy, felt amazing. I mean, it was wonderful. But, and for those of you who are parents, you'll understand, something about that third baby at 40 and going to work was so hard. So I was still working. I was still maintaining a separate business, still working daily. And we were okay with that, because as a family, we were really thinking, hey, we want to turn Plexus into something long-term, So we had a big talk after I went diamond in March of last year of 2016. And we decided that I would sell my company to my partners, sell my shares, and stay home full time. And so I did 1 year ago this month. In fact, like 1 year ago next week.
Wow. What a game changer for your entire life, not just your health, but your career. And I'm sure, like, as an outsider looking in, like you acknowledge, you look at you and Russ and say, okay, well, he's an attorney. She's a licensed counselor. They live in Dallas. They've got it made in the shade, right? But meanwhile, behind the scenes, you have your own stresses. And so I think that's really important to point out as well, that we're talking, to educated professionals that you would think on the outside looking in, they don't need this opportunity.
Yes, I would have been that person on your Frank's list that you might skip over and go, she loves her job. Why would I contact her? And And that's why, you know, we tell people, don't prejudge that list. When you write down your list, don't ever assume that someone's going to turn you down, because I should have been the person. And then I even struggled with it afterwards. But, you know, God was up to something in my life that he could see what was coming in our future. And even I didn't know. And I can tell you now, having been a stay-at-home mom for the past year, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful that I just listened to him, because I really shouldn't be doing Plexus. In my own pride and my own issues, I would have totally turned this down. But gosh, he was at work in me.
Amen. You know, sister, I so connect with you on all levels on this. You know, our stories are different, but the prayer of an opportunity, you know, the direction to fulfill whatever the passion is. For me, prior to Plexus, and really when I was a stay-at-home mom, I remember praying for something that I could be passionate about outside of being a mama that would give me purpose. And I tried to make little crafty things at home, thinking that, you know, my little handmade clipboards and pails that were personalized for parties was somehow my passion. It really wasn't. It was an outlet, but it wasn't a passion. And I remember watching different talk shows thinking, well, or hearing experts say, well, when you find your passion, it won't be a job. And I thought, what is my passion? You know, like where is this passion? I have no passion outside of being a mama. How am I going to make money at that? And so I absolutely understand. And I love that you said that you would have been that person on the Frank's list that someone might skip over, because I try to convey to anyone I speak to really that it's not about who needs the money, it's who already gets money, who already connects with the value of bringing in an income, whether that's somebody with an entrepreneurial spirit or somebody who's blessed in a professional career that already makes money. Because often I find, and this is not always the case, but often I find that most people won't play an active role in their own rescue, that, you know, they're comfortable in the chaos. Even though it's chaos, it's what they know. And so I'm always like, hey, find those people that already get it.
Yes.
Not the people who necessarily are desperate and need it, because chances are they're not changing.
Oh, girl, that's good.
Woo! We're going to church today.
Yes, I like that.
All right, girlie. So how do you, because we've talked about this, you know, outside of our recorded conversation, we know what we know, and we know this business brings ups and downs. That's life, you know, and I have likened this business because we've heard it described as a roller coaster. And why, Becky, I love it described as a roller coaster is because roller coasters go up and down. Mm-hmm. But unlike the law of gravity, where what goes up must come down and it's not guaranteed to go back up, a roller coaster, as long as you stay on it, is guaranteed to go back up. So how do you stay motivated in this roller coaster business?
Well, one of the things, it's just a really basic tip, is I keep going to meetings, I keep hosting meetings, and I keep speaking at meetings. So something happens when I get together. It's kind of like church once a week. You know, you go to church, and there's something about getting there, for most of us, that fills our cups and builds belief. Similarly, Plexus, when I get together with other people and I hear someone's story, it builds fresh belief for me. When I tell my story, it builds fresh belief for me and others. And there's something about just getting together and doing that reminds you why you're doing this. My why could never end with money. Money is certainly a huge motivator, and it is a huge blessing in this industry. But for my family, my husband and I, we've had some serious talks about how our why has to be people. Mm-hmm. And pouring into people. People are eternal. You know, I won't be able to take anything that it's all God given to me anyway, but anything that I do here on earth, you know, it can't come with me, except when you build into people, you're really building like an eternal legacy. So that's a huge motivator for me, is just hearing other people's stories, being able to help people, even helping people make $250 a month. I mean, that's a big motivator for me, because I know that can help change the trajectory of someone's family or someone's financial situation. I would also say one of one of the big things for me is not only being clear on my why, but continually reevaluating and looking at myself. Like I even at the end of April was like, okay, there are some areas that I really need to grow in. And that's really what I'm going to be working on during the summer. Is there's some growth areas in my leadership that I really need to fine tune and hone and grow. And so for me, that's life. Like that would be any industry that I'm in. I would need to continually keep stretching and growing as a leader and as a producer and a manager and all those things. So trying to set new goals, like you and I were just talking about some new goals that we have for ourselves this summer. I think that's important. And also I will really say this. So 2016 was a more rough year for my business. Agree about the ups and downs that happen. No matter when you join or what's going on, you're going to go up and down and back up again, like you said. But for me, the biggest thing in 2016 was saying this rough spot has challenged me to grow as a leader that I didn't grow in when it was just constantly like tick, 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 tick. Everything's getting better and better and better and better. It was the downward time for me that really grew me up as a leader. And I will tell you, I'm a much better leader in May 2017 than I was in May 2016 when I hit Diamond. And it's because of the struggle. So embracing the struggle is huge.
Oh, I love that. And connection in the ugly, right? Growth in the ugly. We don't really grow when everything's just perfect, easy breezy.
No. Nor can people relate to us when everything is perfect, easy breezy. So I want to be relatable too.
Absolutely. So you have shared some amazing tips and definitely sprinkled us with some wisdom. Do you have a few other business tips that you could share with our group?
I'm looking through some of my notes.
Sure, you're good.
So I think I shared about the why and connecting emotionally to your why. That was huge for me too. Okay. So small rewards and celebrations along the way. So I'm going to give you a few tips. And if you relate to any of these, then hold on to them. I think it's important in your journey. I can err towards workaholism and I can put my head down and just grind and grind and grind. But most of us need some kind of little reward or, some sort of celebration. So set those up for yourself at the beginning of the month. Like, hey, if I hit this PV or if I add this many people or if I help these people under me rank, make sure that you're setting up some room there for celebration and personal promotion for yourself, just to kind of keep cheering yourself on. I think we all need rewards and payoffs in some way. Now, obviously our paycheck growth, that's a great payoff. So that's actually something I'm working on, is bringing more fun and celebration into my business. But here's a big thing just for me personally. I need someone to report to. One of the hardest things about Plexus, ironically, when I was in business for myself as a professional counselor, I didn't really have someone as my boss, but I had a team and it was great to report to them. And so one of the things that I realized in Plexus, and even as a Diamond, y'all, this was huge for me to really realize it. I told Andrea Mitchell, I'm going to check in with you every week and tell you what I'm doing. And even sometimes every day, like literally, I've already called her today. There's something for me about accountability when you're self-employed with Plexus. There's something for me about being accountable to someone that motivates me. So I run an IPA page for our big team, and I check in with them even. They know what my daily IPA looks like. And it's only for runners, really, although the runners look like all different ranks. You've got people who are senior ambassadors all the way up to diamond ambassadors. And we don't require people to be on it, but everyone that's on this IPA page is reporting to each other. And y'all, there's something so good about that. Just good about saying, hey, let's do it together. Sometimes we'll just do a power hour together over the phone or over Zoom like this, so that there's this idea of you're not feeling so lonely and you're more connected in your business. I think accountability is huge. So be accountable to someone somewhere. And if it's not your sponsor, then you can make it a sideline. The other thing I would say is huge for my business is just covering everything in prayer. Before my husband left today, he said, who are you talking to today? Who's on your list? Who are your contacts? And we prayed for them. And, I say the same thing to him, like, who are you talking today? He's also a Plexus ambassador. So that's huge, is just covering people in prayer. And that way, if someone's not interested, I go, they're not interested. Like, God's in control and I can release that to him. That's huge as well. Let me see what else. Oh, I think the meetings. You got to do meetings. I think I said that earlier. That's just a huge thing. If you are doing this business, even if it's online events, even if it's a 7-day challenge online, do some kind of a meeting. It's huge.
Such good advice. I mean, y'all need to listen to her. She's a smart diamond ambassador, and she's motivated, and she's breaking this all out in steps that are very connectable, doable, and you can apply them, I believe, immediately. So thank you so much. It's awesome. Now, let me ask you this question. So I don't know, do you have any green in your part? Like, are you green?
That's such a good question, Rainey. I have a little bit of green, and
okay.
It basically is about...
So I always preface this with I'm very little green, and so the fact that I asked this question is pretty hilarious because I don't know that I could answer it accurately at any given time. So I always just say I give people grace when I ask this, that you can answer it in this gray area of ish. So how many level 1s have you personally sponsored in Plexus? Ish.
This question, so I knew this question was coming, and it's the hardest one for me. So I've personally sponsored less than 40.
Okay. Wow.
And working level 1s are right around 12.
Okay, but I love this answer. And the reason why I love this answer is because it is a very relatable number. Sometimes, and we've had others that have 40, okay? But often we get people that are like, I've sponsored 300 or I've sponsored 200. And it's like, so a lot of times what happens is the team will connect with, oh my goodness, I have to sponsor 200 people to even remotely get to them.
Oh, yes.
That's not the case. I tell people, look, if you could get 2 people to do this with you and be really committed to it, that's all you need. You know,
and let me clarify too.
Finding those 2.
Absolutely. And here's a couple of things I've learned. So I was remember I was working full time, and I did not have the kind of job where like I could take my level 1's text or phone call during the day, because would you trust your therapist if she were taking calls during your session? And I would be in back-to-back sessions. So I literally had my phone off. I couldn't even have text coming through. So I ended up signing people, and I really think it was God's way of protecting me while I was working full time, who I would love to sit down and go to dinner with. Mm-hmm. That was for that season in my life. But let me be so clear with you. And this was a really good epiphany that I had when I was interviewing Jessica Heffley on a call just like this. Mm-hmm. She was telling me that she has 7 level 1 jewels. Here's the key, guys. You've got to be wide enough to have runners. So you can't have 12 wholesalers. We all know you won't even get to gold that way, okay? So really the whole key is to, when you find people, be able to teach them the business. Even if they would consider themselves a wholesaler, you want to train everyone like they're going to become your level 1 jewel. And if they're not, then you need to keep going wide. And that's my biggest challenge. Like I was telling you, that so many things in 2016, like the epiphanies, one of my epiphanies is I got to go wider. I got to keep looking for fresh blood. So just hear that from me, that season of, less than 40 people direct to me, that was also a season of working full time. And thank goodness I had some amazing runners, friends that joined me, and we ran and we had fun. We had a lot of fun. And now I'm in a season of it's time to go wider.
Mm-hmm. Time to get a new group that's going to run with you. You keep your runners, and here's also the reality, and I think it's amazing for people to hear, or that moment, that light bulb goes off. Who you start running with isn't necessarily who you continue running with. And that's important to know as well.
Yes.
It's part of this business, right? So let me ask you this. What is a lesson that you've learned so far? And we've shared a few of them, so this may be a redundant question at this point, but what is a lesson you've learned so far in your journey to Diamond?
Well, I would say one of the biggest lessons I've learned is humility, and that really good leaders are vulnerable. People will be drawn not necessarily to everyone. When you do something well, everyone wants to know how you did it. But when you really are leading people, you need to be able to not only inspire them, but you also need to be able to relate to them. Mm-hmm. And so I would consider, just the past season of this past year, FYI, so kind of what I'm talking about is that my husband had a stroke this past year while we were on vacation together. And he is doing exceedingly well. He's made a full recovery. He's doing good. I always preface that. But it's been a hard year. It's obviously hard on your business when your family goes through something like a personal tragedy like that, or trauma, I should call it, because it wasn't a tragedy. But the big thing I learned was, man, I know what it's like to have a life event happen to where you just go, I'm not sure how I can keep going or what to do. And so team is huge. Team culture is huge. Pull your people around you. That's the beauty of this business, is that when you build a team of friendships, and when you really work on team culture, your people come around you, your uplines and downlines all come around you. And so that was a big lesson for me. The other was just be humble. Like when you're struggling, I think so many times in Plexus, obviously we talk about how comparison is the thief of joy. The really big thing is to be open about how you're struggling, but then be open about feedback for how you can grow. When they first assigned us corporate coaches, executive coaches, I'm just going to be vulnerable with you guys. I was kind of like, my eyes were just rolling. I'm like, I'm a professional therapist. How can someone coach me? Well, you guys, you know what? I needed a buttload of coaching. And I had to humble myself and be like, it doesn't matter that I used to kind of coach and coach people every day. This is an area where I did not come to the table with all these natural MLM talents, nor did I even understand fully how the business works. That's been something that I've been working on with my coach for the past 6 months. And you know what? I needed it. So we all need help. You've got to figure out, hey, where do I need help? How can I find it? How can I ask for it? How can I be vulnerable? Even as a diamond, I still want to be a humble, vulnerable leader.
Well, I think, I bet you'll be able to connect to this as somebody who is a licensed counselor. Isn't it true that we say that even when everyone can use counseling, whether you're in a healthy space or maybe not so healthy space? So I'm connecting to that with our journey, that you can always use coaching, whether you're just signed up today or you're a diamond ambassador. There's always room for improvement. Just like in our own lives, always room for improvement in your health, always improvement in your spiritual life, always room for improvement in your emotional being.
And Rainey, I'm sure that you've had this experience too as a leader, where there's such a difference where some people come to you to complain about the situation. Others come to truly ask for help. And when you offer wisdom and they go, okay, and they're like taking notes and I'm going to go do this and get back to you. We all see that difference. Some people just want to come and complain. And I've been there. Trust me, I have been that person. Even in Plexus, I've been that person. I'm in a place where I want to ask for help. And when you give me feedback, I want to go implement it. Not only because I've asked you for help and that's part of the dynamic, but because I want to grow. I don't want to be stagnant. I want to continue to have new things to learn and new areas to stretch myself.
I love it. That's so wise and so humble in your answer, because I think so many times it's easy, because I do think in this little microcosm of Plexus, there's this celebrity world created. And sometimes there's this unspoken pressure to act like a diamond, walk like a, and so I love that we can just let that part down and just speak honestly. That's pretty. That's where the connection is, girl. So last question for you, and I always like to end on this fun note, is, we know that there's financial blessing in being a diamond. And so my question for you is, what is something fun and or meaningful that you've been able to do? And we've heard a couple of them, but maybe you can expand on it since becoming a diamond with Plexus.
So I wrote, when I was taking notes on your questions, I wrote, I stink at this. I think I told y'all that one of the things I'm working on is being more fun and celebrating more. I think my husband and I definitely, we just can grind away. Okay, one of the really fun things I did, and it might not sound super fun to y'all, but it was super fun to me, is I hired a decorator and redid like our upstairs, our kids' rooms, because I had this third baby at 40. So we kind of had to rearrange things, and I did her nursery, and it's like the most peaceful room in my house. I just go up there because it's done. Do you know, like you can see I don't really have things on my walls. I'm just I love design, but I'm not talented at it. I need to pay you if you're talented. You know, like I have to pay someone to come in and tell me what to do. So I like to go sit in her room and just be like, oh, this room is finished and it just feels so good. That's where I like to spend money. The month that I went diamond, I bought like a new pair of Nikes. That was my
I love it. That's good too, though.
Now, I will tell you, I do have some things. I've got some goals for fun celebrations. I am a diamond, and I'm afraid to say this because I hope I don't turn off some people. I am a jeans and tennis shoes or like a yoga pants and obviously tank top kind of girl. But I have never bought a Louis Vuitton. And I would have told you I never wanted a Louis Vuitton, but I kind of do. Yep. So that's one of my goals. Is either to win the shopping spree and because I kind of feel like, man, if I had that money, I don't want to spend it on a purse. I want to spend it on like a new couch or something, or a chair, or a piece of art. But I'm trying to do better about setting a goal. So if you ever see me with an LV, you'll know Becky hit a goal that she was looking for.
Good. I love that. But I think that's important too, in that connection, is to know just because you hit diamond doesn't mean then all of a sudden it's just this gangster wallet that is, you know, I tell people that all the time. I'm like, look, you know, there's this huge thing called taxes and budget and, you know, it's saving and, you know, so it's as blessed of a place as it is to be, there's still responsibility and it's not all just a, you know, windfall like this. So, right.
I'm so grateful. And I will tell you, probably one of the best things I've done is just reinvest in my business as a Plexus investor, like being able to reward people under me. That feels way more fun. And I love personal rewards, but just being generous. My upline is extremely generous. And so some of our stuff in the works is just celebrating people in our organization and being able to celebrate stuff that they're doing well.
I love that. And more than your answers, I love you, and I'm so grateful for you and your friendship and for you sharing your time with us today. That's been so valuable. And so I'm just going to thank everyone for taking your time as well, for tuning in, because I absolutely believe when you tune into trainings like this that you're investing in yourself, and that means you care. And so I pray blessings over your business, and I thank you so much for tuning in, and please help me thank Becky for being here. And until next time, you guys take care, and as always, go Plexus.